Samuel Wright stood at the viewing deck of the space station, watching Earth rotate slowly below. The blue planet looked peaceful from up here, its people unaware of what he had just discovered. His hands gripped the railing until his knuckles turned white. 20 years of lies. 20 years of being told humanity wasn't ready. 20 years of being treated like children by the Galactic Council. The door slid open behind him. Lisa Morgan walked in, her face grim. She held a datapad in her hand. "You were right," she said. "I finished analyzing those energy readings from the restricted zone. The Council ships are mining our outer solar system. They've been at it for years." Samuel nodded. He had suspected as much after his last diplomatic mission. The Council representatives had been too eager to keep humans away from certain sectors, always citing safety concerns or preservation protocols. "Show me," he said. Lisa handed him the datapad. The numbers didn't lie. Massive energy signatures consistent with large-scale mining operations. Resources being stripped from planets and asteroids that the Council had declared off-limits to human exploration. "They've been stealing from us while patting us on the head," Samuel said, "telling us we're not ready for expansion rights." Lisa ran a hand through her short brown hair. "It gets worse. Remember those technical advisors they sent to help with our fusion development program? I found evidence they deliberately introduced flaws in the designs. They've been sabotaging our progress." The communication system chimed. "Ambassador Wright, Captain Reeves requests your presence in the command center immediately." Samuel and Lisa exchanged looks. Alan Reeves wasn't one for urgent meetings unless something was very wrong. When they arrived at the command center, Alan stood in front of a large display showing the defense perimeter around Earth. His tall frame was tense, his usually calm face troubled. "We detected unusual energy signatures near Defense Station 4, Alan said without preamble. "When we sent a patrol to investigate, they found this." He tapped a control, and the display changed to show footage of a Council ship using some kind of beam on one of Earth's defense satellites. "They're mapping our defense network," Alan said, "finding weak points." "This can't be legal under Council law," Lisa said. Samuel laughed bitterly. "Council law has never applied to the Council itself, only to the rest of us." He made a decision. "Alan, I need a secure room and access to the classified communication channel. Lisa, gather every piece of evidence you have. It's time we learned exactly what the Council has been hiding from us." Hours later, in a room protected from any possible Council surveillance, Samuel, Lisa, and Alan sat in stunned silence. Before them lay the truth, pieced together from hacked Council archives, intercepted communications, and Lisa's analysis. The Council had never intended to welcome humanity as equals. From the moment Earth had been contacted, the plan had been to slowly drain the solar system of resources while keeping humans technologically stunted. The long-term goal was clear: reduce Earth to a protectorate status, its people useful as labor but never as equals. "They fear us," Lisa said, looking through the data again. "Their assessments show that human innovation moves faster than any species they've encountered. They projected that without their interference, we would have surpassed their technology within 50 years. Samuel stared at a particular file, the Council's threat assessment of humanity. "They think we're dangerous, unpredictable, too aggressive to be trusted with advanced technology. So they decided to keep us weak," Alan said, his voice hard with anger. "While they stripped our system bare." The communication system chimed again, this time with an emergency tone. A young officer appeared on the screen, her face pale. "Sir, the Council ship Arbiter has attacked one of our science vessels near Jupiter. They're claiming it violated restricted space." Samuel felt cold rage build inside him. "Casualties?" "3 dead, sir. 12 injured." The science vessel, Curiosity, was unarmed. Samuel closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, he knew what had to be done. "Send this evidence to every government leader on Earth. Inform them that I'm calling an emergency session of the United Earth Council in 1 hour." "What are you going to propose?" Lisa asked. Samuel looked at her, then at Alan. "The truth, and then war." The United Earth Council chamber was packed. Government leaders from every nation sat in tense silence as Samuel presented the evidence. Gasps and angry murmurs filled the room as the extent of the council's deception became clear. For 20 years, Samuel concluded, they have lied to us, manipulated us, sabotaged our development, stolen our resources, and now they have killed our people. The room erupted in angry shouts. Samuel waited for the noise to die down before continuing. 1 hour ago, I received this. He played the message from the council's high executor. The alien face that appeared on the screen had the typical council features: gray skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and a mouth that barely moved when it spoke. Ambassador, right? Recent human activities have raised concerns about your species' readiness for galactic participation. The Council has voted to offer Earth Protectorate status for your own protection and development. Accept this generous offer, or face economic and technological sanctions. You have 3 Earth days to comply. The silence in the chamber was deafening when the message ended. They're not even bothering to hide their intentions anymore, Samuel said. They believe we will bow down rather than fight. They are wrong. Lisa stood up. I've been directed to inform this council that the Science Division has been developing technologies in secret, without council oversight. We have weapons and defenses they don't know about. We can fight. Alan rose next. The Space Force is ready. We've been training for this possibility since we first found evidence of council interference 3 years ago. One by one, the world leaders voiced their support. By the end of the session, the vote was unanimous. Earth would not accept protectorate status. Earth would fight. As Samuel left the chamber, Lisa fell into step beside him. What now? She asked. Now. We show them who they're really dealing with, Samuel replied. Project Phoenix begins today. That night, as humanity prepared in secret for the coming conflict, a council observer ship in orbit reported that all seemed normal on Earth. The humans were continuing their daily routines, apparently unaware of their precarious position in the galaxy. The council observer could not detect the underground facilities that had sprung into action, nor the secret communications being sent to Earth ships throughout the solar system. They could not see the determination that now united humanity like never before. In his apartment, Samuel looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the council waited, expecting submission. They had no idea what was coming. You should have just left us alone, he whispered to the night sky. You have no idea what humans can do when we're backed into a corner. The deception was over. The preparation had begun, and the council would soon learn that humanity's vengeance would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. 3 months passed since Earth rejected the council's ultimatum. The council had responded with trade sanctions, cutting off access to certain technologies and resources. They expected humanity to crumble and beg for mercy. They were wrong. Deep beneath the Martian surface in a facility unknown to the council, Lisa Morgan worked tirelessly. Around her, dozens of scientists and engineers moved with purpose, the hum of machinery filling the vast underground chamber. Project Phoenix was in full swing. Run the simulation again, Lisa said, eyes fixed on the holographic display. The simulation showed a new weapon design, one that targeted a specific weakness in Council shield technology. The numbers looked promising. A door slid open, and Samuel Wright entered the lab. He looked tired but determined. For the past 3 months, he had been the face of humanity's resistance, coordinating efforts across Earth and Mars. How's it coming? He asked, joining Lisa at the display. Better than expected, she replied. The quantum disruption field works. Their shields can't handle the frequency shifts. One hit, and their defenses collapse. Samuel nodded. Good. We'll need every advantage we can get. He lowered his voice. Grace is back. Lisa's eyes widened. Grace Peterson had been sent on a dangerous mission to infiltrate Council headquarters 6 weeks ago. Many thought she wouldn't return. What did she find? Lisa asked. Everything, Samuel said. Defense plans, fleet positions, communication protocols. She even brought back detailed scans of their latest warships. They walked to a secure meeting room where Alan Reeves was already waiting. Beside him stood Grace Peterson, looking exhausted but proud. Her normally neat uniform was wrinkled, and dark circles shadowed her eyes. The mission was a success, Grace said without preamble. She placed a small device on the table. All the data is here. Their security was focused on other species. They never expected a human to reach their central database. Alan activated the device and information flooded the screens around them. This is incredible, he said, scanning through fleet positions. With this, we can avoid their main forces, hit their supply lines instead. There's more, Grace said. I made contact with representatives from 3 other species. They've suffered similar treatment from the Council. They're willing to help us. Samuel leaned forward. Which species? The Novari, the Eskai, and the Talarians, Grace replied. All relegated to developing status by the Council, all being slowly stripped of resources. Samuel felt a surge of hope. Allies could change everything. There's something else you should see, Grace said, pulling up a file. The Council's original assessment of humanity. They read in silence. The Council had recognized human potential from the first contact. They had seen a species that adapted quickly, innovated constantly, and fought fiercely when threatened. A species that, if allowed to develop naturally, would soon challenge Council dominance. Their solution? Containment, resource extraction, and eventual subjugation. They fear us, Lisa said softly. They always have. Alan's face hardened. Good. They should. In the weeks that followed, humanity's preparations accelerated. The Mars facility produced weapons and shield systems that operated on principles the Council had never seen. On the far side of the moon, hidden shipyards constructed, vessels designed to exploit Council weaknesses. Lisa made another breakthrough. Working with volunteers, she discovered that human minds could interface with their new technology in ways the Council species could not. Their brains processed information differently, allowing for faster reactions and more intuitive control. Systems. It gives our pilots an edge, she explained to Samuel as they watched test flights above the lunar surface. The neural interface lets them feel the ship as an extension of themselves. Reaction times are nearly doubled. Samuel watched as the sleek black ships performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. How many do we have ready? 50 combat-ready vessels, Alan said, joining them at the viewport. Another 100 will be completed within the month. The Council still doesn't suspect. Their observers report only normal activity. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert. A Council inspection ship was approaching the lunar base requesting permission to land. They're getting suspicious, Samuel said. We knew this would happen eventually. The hidden facilities are secure, Alan assured him. They'll see only what we want them to see. The inspection was tense. Council representatives walked through the base, scanning for violations of technology restrictions. They found nothing obvious, though they noted the reduced human presence. Many of your people have returned to Earth, the lead inspector said to Samuel. Why? Samuel smiled politely. Council sanctions have affected our economy. We've had to scale back our space operations. The inspector didn't look convinced but had no evidence of wrongdoing. After they left, Samuel called an emergency meeting of Earth's leadership. The Council is watching more closely now, he told them. We need to accelerate our timeline. World leaders appeared on screens around him, faces grave but determined. The fleet will be ready in 3 weeks, the Chinese president said. Weapon production is ahead of schedule, added the Russian representative. One by one, they confirmed their readiness. 20 years of being treated as inferiors had united humanity as nothing else could have. After the meeting, Samuel stood alone in his office, looking at a holographic map of known Council space. So vast compared to humanity's single solar system. Yet they would soon challenge this empire that spanned hundreds of worlds. Lisa found him there, still staring at the map. Having doubts? She asked. Samuel shook his head. Not about whether we should fight, about what happens if we win. Lisa, consider this. We become what they feared. A new power in the galaxy. Power corrupts, Samuel said quietly. What's to stop us from becoming like them? We remember, Lisa replied. We remember what it felt like to be lied to be treated as lesser beings. We build something better. The edge of the solar system, Alan supervised the final deployment of the stealth network. Thousands of small devices that would alert Earth to any approaching Council fleets. As he worked, a transmission came in from one of their new allies, the Novari. Council fleet movements have changed, the alien voice reported. They're gathering forces. We think they plan to make an example of Earth soon. Alan thanked them and immediately contacted Samuel. We're out of time, he said. The Council is assembling a punitive fleet. Samuel's response was calm. Then we strike first. Inform all commands. Project Phoenix launches in 72 hours. That night, across Earth, Mars, and the Moon, humanity prepared for war. In underground bunkers and hidden bases, soldiers said goodbye to families. Pilots conducted final simulations. Engineers made last-minute adjustments to weapons and shields. In a worldwide address, Samuel spoke to humanity one last time before the conflict began. For 20 years, they lied to us. They told us we weren't ready for the stars. They told us we needed their guidance, their protection. All while they took what was ours and planned our eventual subjugation. He paused, his expression resolute. They lied to contain us because they fear what we might become. It's time to show them they were right to be afraid. Across the solar system, humanity answered with determined silence. The countdown to war had begun. In 3 days, the Council would learn that the species they had underestimated for so long had teeth, sharp ones. The Kuiper Belt was quiet, its vast field of ice and rock drifting silently at the edge of the solar system. Council mining ships worked steadily, extracting valuable materials from the larger asteroids. They had been operating here for years, taking resources from a zone they had declared off-limits to humans. They felt safe, protected by distance and secrecy. They were wrong. Captain Alan Reeves stood on the bridge of the Retribution, humanity's first true warship. Around him, 50 similar vessels moved in perfect formation, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The Council's sensors would detect them only when it was too late. All ships report ready, sir, his first officer said. Alan nodded. Begin the attack. Remember, disable their communications first. Across the human fleet, pilots connected to their neural interfaces. Daniel Hayes felt his fighter become an extension of his body as the link activated. His ship, Vengeance 1, led the fighter squadron that would target the smaller Council vessels. Fighter squadron, form up on me, Daniel said. Target communication arrays and engines, let's show them what humans can do. The attack began with overwhelming speed. Human ships appeared seemingly from nowhere, their stealth systems working perfectly. Before the Council mining fleet could react, their communication systems were disabled by precision strikes. Daniel swooped his fighter beneath a Council transport, firing quantum disruption beams that collapsed its shields instantly. 2 more shots disabled its engines. Around him, his squadron did the same to the other transports. On the Retribution, Alan watched the battle unfold. Status report, he ordered. All Council communications successfully jammed, his tactical officer replied. 27 vessels, disabled. No casualties on our side, they never even got a shot off. Alan allowed himself a small smile. Begin Phase 2. Boarding parties to secure their data cores and any technology we can use. Tell the crews to be careful. We want prisoners, not bodies. The operation proceeded with mechanical precision. Human boarding teams secured Council ships, taking the alien crews prisoner. The Council personnel were stunned, unable to comprehend how the supposedly primitive humans had defeated their superior technology so easily. On Earth, Samuel and Lisa watched the battle through secure feeds. Grace Peterson stood nearby, coordinating. Intelligence from field agents across the solar system. First reports coming in, Grace said. Complete success at the Kuiper Belt. Alan's forces have secured all Council mining operations. Samuel nodded. And the secondary targets? Teams are engaging Council outposts on Titan and Europa now, Grace replied. Early reports indicate similar success. The quantum disruption weapons are working even better than we hoped. Lisa couldn't hide her pride. The weapons had been her design, the culmination of years of secret research. The Council never imagined we could develop technology that could bypass their shields, she said. They thought their security measures had kept us contained. Samuel turned to his communication officer. Prepare to broadcast on all frequencies, including the Council's emergency channels. It's time they knew who they were dealing with. Across Council space, emergency signals blared as reports came in of the human attack. In the Council's grand chamber, the ruling species gathered in panic, their 4 eyes wide with disbelief. How is this possible? Demanded the High Executor. They are primitives. Their technology should be decades behind ours. A military advisor's image appeared on the main screen. The humans have deployed weapons we've never seen before. They've secured the entire Sol system in less than 72 hours. All our forces there have been captured or destroyed. Impossible, shouted another council member. Then Samuel's face appeared on every screen in council space. His expression was calm but determined. Members of the Galactic Council, for 20 years you have lied to humanity. You told us we weren't ready for advanced technology. You restricted our expansion, all while you secretly stole resources from our solar system and planned our eventual subjugation. He paused, letting his words sink in. Today, humanity declares its independence from Council authority. We have reclaimed our solar system. Any further attempts to enter our space will be met with force. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. This was unprecedented. No species had ever successfully defied the Council, let alone a species as young as humanity. The High Executor called for order. We must respond with overwhelming force, he insisted. If the humans succeed, other species will follow their example. As if to confirm his fears, reports began coming in of uprisings on worlds belonging to the Novari, the Eskai, and the Talarians, the allies Grace had secured for humanity. Back on the Retribution, Alan received new intelligence from Grace's network. The Council is preparing a punitive fleet, he told his officers. They're gathering forces from across their territory. Daniel, having returned from his successful fighter mission, asked the question on everyone's mind. Can we stand against their full military might? They control hundreds of worlds. Alan's expression was grim but confident. We don't need to defeat their entire military. We just need to make the cost of fighting us too high. He turned to his communications officer. Contact Earth Command. Tell them we need to deploy the Sunbreaker. On Earth, Samuel received Alan's message with mixed feelings. The Sunbreaker was Lisa's most terrible creation, a weapon capable of destabilizing stars. It had been developed as a deterrent, never intended for actual use. Is there no other way? He asked Lisa when they discussed the deployment. Lisa looked troubled. The Council is gathering a fleet of over 1,000 ships. Even with our advanced technology, we can't fight those numbers. But the Sunbreaker, Samuel began. We'll send a message they can't ignore, Lisa finished. We don't have to use it on an inhabited system. Just demonstrate what we're capable of. Samuel closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his decision was made. Prepare the Sunbreaker for deployment. Target the Proxima Centauri system. It's uninhabited, but close enough to make our point. Lisa nodded and left to oversee the preparations. Samuel turned to Grace. What's the status of our allies? The Novari have secured 3 systems, Grace reported. The Eskai and Talarians are making progress but facing stronger resistance. They're asking for our help. Send them the plans for the quantum disruption weapons, Samuel ordered, and dispatch support squadrons to assist them. As humanity's first war expanded beyond the solar system, reports of Council atrocities began to emerge. Worlds that showed support for the human cause were being punished. Civilian populations were suffering. Samuel addressed the United Earth Council again, showing evidence of Council brutality. This is what they've been doing to lesser species for centuries, he told the assembled leaders. This is what they planned for us. The vote to deploy the Sunbreaker was unanimous. 3 days later, a small human vessel entered the Proxima Centauri system. It deployed a single device near the star, then quickly retreated to a safe distance. What happened next would change galactic politics forever. The Sunbreaker activated, sending quantum pulses into the star's core. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The star's natural fusion processes began to accelerate uncontrollably. In a brilliant flash visible across nearby systems, Proxima Centauri went supernova centuries before its natural time. The shockwave shattered planets and sent debris hurling through space. Throughout Council space, observers watched in horror. The message was clear. Humanity possessed the power to destroy stars. The species they had dismissed as primitives could bring death on a scale the galaxy had never witnessed. Samuel watched the reports come in, feeling no triumph, only resolve. Send a message to the Council, he told his staff. Tell them this is just the beginning unless they agree to negotiate. Tell them humanity's vengeance has only just begun. News of the Proxima Centauri destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Council issued urgent warnings about human aggression and savagery, but their words now carried little weight. After centuries of unchallenged authority, the Council faced something new: fear. Samuel Wright sat alone in his office, watching reports from across Council space. The Sunbreaker demonstration had worked better than anticipated. 3 Council worlds had already reached out with offers of independent treaties with Earth. Others were withdrawing their forces from joint Council operations. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Lisa Morgan entered, looking tired. The military wants to build more Sunbreakers, she said without preamble. They're talking about targeting Council core worlds next. Samuel frowned. That wasn't the plan. The Sunbreaker was meant as a deterrent, not a first-strike weapon. I know, Lisa agreed, sitting down heavily. But success has changed things. Some of our leaders are talking about revenge for all the years of deception. Others want to establish human dominance across the sector. Before Samuel could respond, Grace Peterson hurried in, her face grave. You need to see this, she said, activating the main display. It showed footage from a distant system where human forces had engaged a Council fleet. The human ships were ruthlessly efficient, destroying Council vessels that were clearly attempting to retreat. This was at Belarus Prime, Grace explained. Our forces eliminated the entire Council presence, including 3 transport ships carrying civilians. Samuel stood up sharply. Who authorized this? The rules of engagement were clear. Military targets only. Field commanders made the call, Grace replied. They claimed the transports might have been carrying reinforcements. Samuel exchanged a troubled look with Lisa. We're becoming what we hated, he said quietly. The door opened again, and Alan Reeves strode in. Fresh from the front lines, he carried the confidence of continuous victory. Good news, he announced. The Novari have secured the Centauri corridor with our help. The Eskai have overthrown Council rule on 5 of their colony worlds. We're winning on all fronts. At what cost? Samuel asked, gesturing to the display still showing the aftermath at Belarus Prime. Alan's expression hardened. They would have done worse to us. They planned to reduce us to servants, remember? What did you expect war to look like, Samuel? The tension in the room was broken by another arrival. Olivia Bennett, Earth's new chief diplomat, entered with a datapad in hand. I've made contact with a group calling themselves the Council Reformation Movement, she reported. They're moderates within the Council who claim they oppose the policy toward Earth from the beginning. Can they be trusted? Lisa asked. Olivia shrugged. They've provided evidence of their previous opposition. They want to meet on neutral ground to discuss terms. Samuel looked thoughtful. This could be our first real chance to end this without more bloodshed. Or it could be a trap, Alan countered. We have the advantage. Why negotiate when we can dictate terms after their surrender? Because this isn't just about winning, Samuel replied firmly. It's about building something better afterward. The debate continued for hours. Eventually, they agreed to pursue both paths, maintain military pressure while exploring diplomatic options through Olivia's contacts. As the meeting ended, Lisa pulled Samuel aside. "There's something else you should know. The military is planning to use the Sunbreaker against the Action system." Samuel stared at her in shock. "Action has billions of inhabitants. They're targeting the outer planet only, as another demonstration," Lisa clarified. "But even that could cause massive damage to the entire system." Samuel's expression hardened. "I want a full Security Council meeting in 1 hour. This has gone far enough." The emergency session of Earth's Security Council was heated. Military leaders argued for aggressive action, citing intelligence that the Council was regrouping its forces. "The Action demonstration would secure our victory," insisted General Richard Harding. "One uninhabited planet is a small price to pay for peace." "Peace built on terror is no peace at all," Samuel countered. "We fought because they lied to us and tried to control us. If we rule through fear, how are we any different?" The argument went back and forth. Samuel could see that many were seduced by the power humanity now wielded. After years of feeling inferior, the ability to make the mighty council tremble was intoxicating. In the end, the vote went against him. The Sunbreaker would be deployed to the Action system in 2 days. As the EEO council members filed out, Lisa approached Samuel. "I can try to modify the weapon, reduce its impact," she offered quietly. "Do what you can," Samuel replied. "This isn't what we fought for." On the other side of the galaxy, Olivia Bennett met with representatives of the Council Reformation movement on a neutral space station. The aliens were nervous, their 4 eyes constantly darting around as if expecting an attack. "We have always opposed the hardliners' policies," explained Telner, their leader. "Many council species believed humanity should have been welcomed as equals. Yet you did nothing as they lied to us and planned our subjugation," Olivia pointed. Out Telner's skin flushed a deeper gray, a sign of shame in his species. "We were outvoted, outmaneuvered. The economic interests were too powerful. The mining corporations that profited from your system funded the hardliners." Olivia leaned forward. "And now?" "Now the hardliners have been discredited by their failures. Many have been removed from power. We offer a chance for peace, for a new relationship between our peoples." Olivia kept her expression neutral as she relayed this information to Earth. Hours later, she received her response. "Proceed with preliminary negotiations, but make no binding commitments." 2 days later, humanity deployed its second Sunbreaker. The target was Action 4, an uninhabited planet in a heavily populated system. Despite Lisa's modifications, the weapon's effect was catastrophic. The planet didn't just break apart, it shattered explosively, sending massive fragments toward the inner planets. The star itself fluctuated violently, sending solar flares across the system. Billions watched in horror as evacuation orders were issued for 3 populated worlds. The death toll from the initial impacts and radiation was projected to reach millions. Samuel stood in the command center, watching the disaster unfold with a sick feeling in his stomach. This wasn't justice or even vengeance anymore. It was something darker. Alan joined him, his earlier certainty now tempered by the scale of destruction. "I didn't expect this," he admitted quietly. The models showed a controlled demonstration. "Power is easy to abuse," Samuel replied. "We've spent so long focused on what the Council did to us that we never stopped to consider what we might become in the process of fighting back." Across human-controlled space, reactions to the Action disaster were mixed. Some celebrated another victory against the oppressors. Others, particularly those who remembered Earth's own history of warfare, expressed concern about the path humanity was taking. Lisa sought out Samuel the next day, her face drawn with exhaustion and worry. "I've destroyed all the Sunbreaker plans," she told him, "and I've sabotaged the existing prototypes, no more star killers." Samuel nodded his approval. "It had to be done." "Some will call it treason," Lisa warned. "Let them," Samuel replied. "I'll stand with you." That evening, as reports continued to come in about the spreading disaster in the Action system, Samuel addressed the people of Earth one more time. "We fought because we were lied to," he said, his voice steady but somber. "We fought for our right to determine our own future, but in our anger, in our desire for vengeance, we risk becoming something we will not recognize, something worse than what we fought against." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "The Council lied, and our vengeance has shattered worlds. But destruction cannot be our legacy. It's time to build something new." 1 month after the Action disaster, representatives from 27 species gathered on the neutral world of Calamar. Once a minor trading post, it now hosted the most important diplomatic summit in galactic history. The Grand Council that had ruled for centuries was collapsing, its authority shattered by human vengeance and the rebellions it had inspired. Samuel Wright stood at the window of his quarters, watching alien ships arrive in orbit. The past weeks had been the hardest of his life. After his public stand against further use of the Sunbreaker, Earth's leadership had been divided. Some called for his removal, others rallied to his cause. In the end, the horror of Action had convinced enough leaders that a new path was needed. Lisa Morgan entered the room, carrying data pads with the latest proposals. "The Novari delegation just arrived," she said. "That makes 27 species committed to the summit." Samuel nodded. "And the Council hardliners?" "6 species are boycotting the talks," Lisa replied. "But they're isolated now. Their own populations are demanding change." The door chimed again and Alan Reeves walked in. The captain looked different now, the easy confidence replaced by a more thoughtful demeanor. The Action disaster had affected him deeply. "The fleet is in position," he reported. "Defensive formation only, as agreed. The Eskai and Talarian ships have joined the perimeter." Samuel studied his old friend. "How are the crews handling the change in mission?" Alan's expression was solemn. "Better than you might think. After Action, many of them were questioning our course. Protecting peace talks feels right after what we witnessed." Olivia Bennett joined them, dressed in formal diplomatic attire. "It's time," she said simply. Together they walked to the grand chamber where the summit would take place. The room had been designed with no raised platforms or special seats. All delegates would sit as equals at a circular table. As they entered, Samuel was struck by the diversity before him. Species that had been enemies for centuries sat side by side, united by a common desire for change. Some were former council rulers, others had been subjugated like humans. All recognized that the old order was dead. Telnar, the reformist council member who had first reached out to Olivia, approached them. "Ambassador Wright," he said with a formal bow, "your presence honors us. Many feared humanity would choose to stand apart after your victory." Samuel shook his head. "Victory means nothing if we can't build something better from it." The summit began with each species stating their vision for the future. Some called for a loose confederation, others for a stronger alliance. The debates were heated but respectful. The shadow of recent destruction hung over them all, a reminder of what happened when cooperation failed. On the 3rd day, a crisis erupted. News arrived that Council hardliners had attacked a human outpost in retaliation for Action. 12 humans had been killed. The summit chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates called for immediate military response. Others feared the peace process would collapse before it began. Samuel called for order. "This is exactly what the hardliners want," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "They want to provoke us into more violence to prove that their way is the only way." "So we do. Nothing while they kill our people?" demanded a military aide. "No," Samuel replied firmly. "We bring them to justice, not through revenge, but through the new laws we are creating here. We show the galaxy that there is another path." His words calmed the chamber. The summit continued, now with greater urgency. Working groups formed to address different aspects of the new Galactic Compact. Lisa led the technology sharing initiative. After centuries of council restrictions, Many species had been prevented from developing their full potential. Now the barriers would come down. But there must be safeguards, Lisa insisted. We've seen what weapons like the Sunbreaker can do. Some technologies are too dangerous to share freely. Alan, surprising many including himself, became a strong voice for military cooperation between species. Defense, not dominance, he proposed. A joint force to protect all member worlds, not to control them. Olivia worked tirelessly on the diplomatic framework, drawing on Earth's long history of international relations, both failures and successes. We need strong institutions, she argued, but also respect for each species' sovereignty and culture. As the summit entered its second week, Samuel addressed the gathered delegates again. We stand at a crossroads, he began. For centuries, the Council ruled through deception and force. They divided species, setting some above others. They lied. To maintain their power, he paused, looking around the chamber. We fought against their lies, our vengeance shattered worlds. But destruction cannot be our legacy. Today we have the chance to build something unprecedented, a true community of equals. His words resonated with the delegates. In the days that followed, progress accelerated. The framework for a new galactic alliance took shape, built on principles of equality, transparency, and cooperation. The Council species that had once ruled would make reparations to those they had subjugated. Technology would be shared with appropriate safeguards. Military forces would be restructured into a defensive alliance, with no single species holding command. On the final day, as the delegates prepared to sign what would become known as the Phoenix Accords, Samuel met privately with Telner and representatives from the other former council races. There's one more thing we need to address, Samuel said. The truth about the council's history must be known by all. No more secrets, no more lies. Telner looked uncomfortable but nodded. It will not be easy for my people to face this shame. But you are right. Truth must be the foundation of our new beginning. That afternoon, in a public ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, the Phoenix Accords were signed. 27 species, former rulers and former subjects, committed to a new future together. As Samuel added his signature to the document, he thought about the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. From first contact to bitter disillusionment. From righteous anger to the brink of becoming oppressors themselves. And finally, to this new beginning. After the ceremony, Lisa found Samuel standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the stars. Thinking about what might have been, she asked. Samuel smiled faintly. Thinking about what still might be. We've made a good start here, but the real work is just beginning. Lisa nodded. The Action refugees still need homes. The hardliners are still out there, and we humans have our own demons to face. One step at a time, Samuel replied. At least now we're moving in the right direction. Their conversation was interrupted by Alan and Olivia, who joined them on the balcony. The HFY have invited Earth to establish a joint research center on their homeworld, Olivia reported. They're particularly interested in Lisa's neural interface technology for medical applications. And the defensive fleet is taking shape, Alan added. 6 species have already committed ships. Command will rotate annually, as we agreed. Samuel looked at his 3 friends, these people who had journeyed with him from the first discovery of the Council's lies to this moment of new beginning. We still don't know if this will work, he said honestly. If we can truly build something better than what came before. That's the point of the journey, Lisa replied. To find out. Later that night, as celebrations continued across Calamar, Samuel stood alone at the window of his quarters again. The stars looked different to him now, not as places to conquer or fear, but as points of light in a galaxy that had been given a second chance. Our vengeance shattered worlds, he whispered to himself. But from those fragments, we will build something better. Not an empire or a council of lies, but a true community of equals. The Phoenix Accords would not fix everything. There would be setbacks and challenges ahead. But for the first time in centuries, the galaxy had a chance for real peace. built not on deception and dominance, but on truth and cooperation. The Council had lied. Humanity's vengeance had shattered worlds. But the story did not end with destruction. It continued with creation, and that made all the difference.